Brightheart got a new graphic novel release just this week. And graphic novels are always good video topics, because you can read the entire thing in a little over an hour, and having the James Barrie art makes for great visuals to put on screen while I'm talking. So what does Brightheart bring to the table? Well, a short story retreading a little Firestar's quest, with the main message of the story being how it's important to ask for help, and how your community is valuable, with some themes about trust on the side. It's nothing groundbreaking, really. The story is held back both by being limited to 200 pages, and by having to follow events already lined up based on the Firestar's quest timeline. Of course, that's most certainly the intention, not to tell some complicated narrative, but just do something fun for Brightheart fans. But even so, its supposed message of asking others for help is kinda left only half resolved. I'll just give a rundown of the book. Cloudtail and Brightheart's romance is heavily in focus, and Brightheart is revealed to be pregnant when she meets with her medicine cat sister Cinderpelt. It's nice to see Brightheart have a relationship with her sister, but what's strange is that we never see her talk to her mother Frostfur this entire book. None of the elders do anything in this book, despite there being 4 of them in this time period. On the conflict side of things, she does get a little annoyed when she doesn't get an apprentice from Firestar, an event that could hint at the writers being aware of her being unfairly robbed from the opportunity when Firestar promises her an apprentice in the sight and never follows up for the rest of his life. But of course this book takes place before Arc 2, so there's no big resolution to that plot point. Though we do get Cloudtail sharing his apprentice Rainpaw with her, so we have room to imagine the resolution that being without an apprentice wasn't the absolute worst for Brightheart because she could still take joy from helping apprentices in general. It's a good enough solution. The main conflict of the book would be prey going missing from the fresh kill pile at night in ThunderClan. Brightheart was fast to be suspicious of Longtail and Brambleclaw after seeing them chatting with ShadowClan, in addition to the fact that Longtail was close to Tigerclaw before he was exiled, and Brambleclaw was Tigerstar's son. Firestar quickly brushes off Brightheart as overly paranoid, which is fair considering Brambleclaw and Longtail are fine, but he is a bit rude and dismissive about a cat legitimately asking for help. You know, the main lesson the book is trying to teach. I guess ask for help from anyone but Firestar. Brightheart is still suspicious of Longtail, and even yells at him. What it takes for Brightheart to stop being suspicious is for Longtail to be completely blinded by a rabbit and rendered unable to steal prey. As sweet as it is to see Brightheart share compassion with him and to reassure him he isn't useless, it's not really executed all that well. This plot thread feels built from the resolution backwards. Like they decided, yes, Brightheart and Longtail could bond over having similar injuries. And then they decided, yeah, they should bicker with each other so that bonding could be a more powerful moment. And then they were like, oh, we don't really have a reason for Brightheart to hate him in the first place. And then hastily threw together the he was friends with Tigerclaw ages ago idea. As for Brambleclaw, he doesn't have any relevance, other than Brightheart needing to talk with Firestar about why his suffix is the same as his father's. He's just there because Brightheart's suspicion over Tigerstar connected cats had to extend to him, and it just doesn't work. There is nothing about Brightheart's character in this book that screams that she would be the type to be suspicious of cats connected to Tigerstar. You could say she was suspicious because an attack from ShadowClan is what killed her father Lionheart, and Tigerstar is heavily associated with ShadowClan. No, you can't, this book doesn't mention Lionheart. You could say she was suspicious because Tigerstar was the one who led dogs onto their territory, which ultimately led to Swiftpaw's death and her injury. But you can't. While this book mentions the dog attack, of course, it makes barely any effort to connect it to Tigerstar. There are connections that could have been made, but we can't give credit to the writing team because they didn't bother to make them. In the book, Brightheart only has her bias because Tigerstar was evil. Same assumption that could be applied to any other ThunderClan cat. And they're not suspicious of Longtail and Brambleclaw. So as Brightheart stops suspecting Longtail, she takes it upon herself to be a detective for the missing prey. Which isn't particularly interesting in my opinion, because she discovers these strange gouges that immediately rules out that a cat caused it. And random animals are only treated as forces of nature and nothing interesting. Firestar starts to get super distant as he is following down the messages from StarClan that will eventually lead him to SkyClan. This is only relevant to the plot because Brightheart wants his help on finding the prey thief, but he isn't available, so she just doesn't tell any cat except Cloudtail. Willow Pelt randomly dies because we have to follow the events of Firestar's quest. They take the opportunity for Brightheart to be all kind and reassuring to the now motherless apprentices, but it doesn't really connect to the missing prey mystery that much. But you can make an argument that it connects to the book's main message on asking others for help. As it's emphasized, there are plenty of cats with them, so they don't have to go through it alone. There's a cute moment where Brightheart makes a metaphor to the clan being like a beehive, and Rainpaw talks about how he ate a bee. It's nice. Later, Brightheart finally asks Graystripe for help on missing prey, because Firestar leaves, and Graystripe is all mad she didn't ask for help sooner, and Brightheart has learned a valuable lesson about asking for help and all that. But not much comes of this. The clanmates help catch prey for the pile to use as bait, which they do every day anyway, and then Brightheart is still part of the all-nighter stakeout in order to catch the thief, with the other helpers hardly being shown. So even though the whole point of her story is that she finally asks for help, we don't really feel any impact of other cats joining in to help her. The closest we get is Cloudtail and Rainpaw hanging out with her in the bush. So then the conflict concludes when Rainpaw thinks the threat is gone, walks into the open, gets grabbed by an owl, and Brightheart leaps onto the owl to save him, so the owl is discovered to be the thief, and it gets a warning to not mess with ThunderClan. And yeah, it's dramatic to see Brightheart triumph over a crazy strong opponent, but there is clear dissonance between this scene and the moral of the story. Asking for help didn't really lead Brightheart to take down the owl. The prey they caught didn't do anything because Rainpaw played the role as bait, and the other cats hiding didn't join in to fight the owl. I know people who like this book say that it's amazing slice of life content, that Brightheart interacting with Longtail and Cloudtail and Cinderpelt and Rainpaw is wholesome, and that we don't always need big dramatic plots happening. And while that is true, that doesn't excuse lazy writing. There's a big difference between amazing slice of life content and poorly written slice of life content. I love the scene with Rainpaw talking about eating a bee. It's adorable, but it's just one piece of the puzzle. A story is not always equal to the sum of its parts. You can have good parts and still a mediocre end product, if it just doesn't connect well. Asking for help and learning to trust clanmates and the importance of community are such basic messages already, and to not even tell them in a coherent way, it just kinda sucks. The biggest crime of this book relates to something I briefly touched on earlier, how it treats elders, being not at all. Brightheart has a mother Frostfur, who is alive at the time of this book. A perfect cat to confide in over her pregnancy, or the value of clan community, as she lived a full life, had kits, and retired. She's mentioned once, but never shows up. And when Longtail realizes he can't contribute like he used to due to being blind now, being an elder is portrayed as some curse because he's useless if he can't contribute. And when he helps in the medicine den a little, it's all like, good, you're not pointless now. Kind of ableist. Also, Brightheart being offered a place in the nursery, and support to ensure kits are born safely, it's never emphasized that it's such a big deal. The story skirts around her taking that much-deserved maternity leave, and makes her have to discover other ways to help her clan with the investigation, instead of her just being valued as she was. If you get time to take off work for being a parent, take it! You deserve it! The moment she is supposed to be learning to accept help, she just does the job she asked help for in the first place anyway. But it's even worse for Longtail. Dude is questioning his self-worth, and Brightheart is just saying he could find other ways to work, rather than, I don't know, mentioning the fact that his self-worth isn't tied to his work at all, and that elders are valued members of the clan. Both Brightheart and Longtail's plots resolve when they find more ways to contribute themselves, even though the message is supposed to be about how it's okay to get help. So yeah, if you like the book, that's fine. These were just the problems I had with it. And it's not like, ew, I hate Brightheart. It's more just, I love Brightheart so much that I wish her story was better. Alright, bye everyone.